back to another video on Juice and Toya.
Hey, welcome back.
Today we are taking you through an hour-long, a 60-minute full-body dumbbell strength workout.
Hey, let's get it.
This is going to be a great workout if you're looking to build some strength, build some muscle, or just looking for a good overall full-body workout.
Yeah.
All right. All you're going to need for this workout is a pair of dumbbells. If you have multiple sets of weights, we recommend grabbing those just because this is full body, so play around with different weight variations here.
Oh yeah, so for the workout format, listen close. We're taking you through a total of 5 groups of 5 different exercises. And we're gonna do 2 sets of each of those groups, all right? We want 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest, and then in between those groups, we'll give you a long 60-second break, all right? So go as hard as you can for each one. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do this workout today, but I will be providing you with some audio cues in between sets just to make sure your form is correct and on point.
Oh yeah, and if you need modifications, don't worry, we still have you covered with those.
Yep.
We're gonna pop those up on the screen where modifications are involved, all right? So of course, I'm gonna take you out through a quick warm up and then we'll get right into the workout.
Hey, let's get it.
Perfect.
All right, for the first exercise, we have goblet squats. We're gonna hold a single dumbbell vertically by the neck of the dumbbell. We're gonna keep our chest as tall as we can as we sit into the squat. And a big key to these squats is keeping the weight into the heels. That's gonna ensure that we're putting all the emphasis in our glutes and in our quads. All right, let's get into it. next up we have front loaded deadlifts. So we'll have our palms facing our body with both dumbbells here. We'll hinge our hips back, keeping your back flat, core tight, and then squeezing the glutes as you come up. Just like the squat, you want to keep the weight in the heels, and that's going to ensure that you're getting a lot of tension in those glutes and hamstrings. All right, next up we have suitcase squats. With these squats, we'll be holding 2 dumbbells by our sides, and this is very similar to goblet squats. We'll keep our chest tall, core engaged, and we'll keep our weight in the heels to ensure that we're using our quads and glutes effectively. Next up, we have sumo deadlifts. These are similar to regular deadlifts, except you'll be pointing your toes out at 45 degrees and will hinge back the same way we'll do with a regular deadlift. A big key to these is keeping your knees pointing outward toward your toes. You should feel this in your glutes and in your hamstrings. Next up, we have calf raises. With this particular exercise, feel free to load the weight up a little heavier if you want to, and we're gonna do this nice and slow with some time under tension. We're gonna drive up through the toes and then slowly rock back to our heels to ensure that we're getting a lot of tension in the calves. Be sure to get full extension through the ankles here. All right, now we're back to the top of the order with set 2. For each of the movements coming up, follow those cues that I mentioned in the first set. If it was too easy, be sure to up the tempo or up the amount of resistance that you're using. Or if it was too difficult, be sure to slow it down or lower the amount of weight that you're using as well. All right, let's get to it. All right, first up we have reverse lunges. We're gonna step back, driving that back leg as low to the ground as we can while keeping that front leg at 90 degrees. You'll wanna keep your chest tall and core engaged, and if you find that this is too difficult, be sure to follow the modification that pops up on the screen, which is a split squat. Next up, we have side squats. We're gonna start with our feet together and then we'll split one leg to the side as we hinge with the bottom leg. You'll wanna keep most of the weight in your heels, and this is gonna ensure that you're using your glutes and your quads to drive up. If this is too difficult, be sure to follow the modification that pops up on the screen. All right, next up, we're gonna test your balance out with some alternating single leg deadlifts. So just like a regular deadlift, we're gonna hinge back while keeping the weight in the heels. As you can see, Toya's back is nice and flat and she's not arching or rounding her back at the bottom of the movement. If you find that this is too difficult, be sure to tap your toe back as shown in the modification. Next up, we have staggered deadlifts. Our foot positioning should be 1 foot over and 1 foot back, and this is essentially a regular deadlift in a staggered stance. Again, keep the weight in your heels, keep your core engaged, and squeeze the glutes at the top. We're gonna switch legs at 20 seconds here. All right, we're gonna get a bit advanced with this last exercise of this group. We're gonna do some kneeling step ups. These are very similar to reverse lunges. We'll step back into a full kneel and then drive up with the opposite leg. You should feel your quads and glutes here, but if you find that this is too difficult or you have sensitive knees, be sure to follow the modification that pops up on the screen. All right, we're back at the top for set 2. Follow those cues that I mentioned in set 1 to make sure that your form is correct and on point. If you found that it was too easy, again, go up in weight or increase your reps. And if it was too difficult, lower the amount of weight or lower the amount of reps that you did for that set. All right, let's get to it. All right, group 3 is all about the upper body, and we're gonna get started with some wide shoulder presses. So with the shoulder presses, we'll start by squeezing our glutes and pulling our rib cage in to ensure that we're not arching our back. With that, we'll drive our elbows down and tap the weights at the top to ensure that we're getting full range of motion here. All right, next up we have a wide bent over row. You're gonna start in a deadlift position with your heels into the ground, your hips hinged back, and then you'll have your core engaged, and that's gonna keep your back nice and flat. You're gonna pull those elbows out wide and squeeze those shoulder blades to make sure that you're getting full range of motion. You should feel your middle back and biceps during this exercise. All right, next up, we're gonna keep it simple with skull crushers. So just like the shoulder press, we're gonna squeeze the glutes and pull the rib cage in to ensure that we're not arching our back. We're gonna keep those elbows fixed at the top, and then we'll extend those elbows up with the weight. If you're doing this correctly, your triceps should be on fire. Next up, we're gonna drop the weight and go into some push-ups. With push-ups, you will wanna squeeze your glutes and your core. This is gonna ensure that your back is nice and flat. Go as low as you can and then drive up through your palms. If push-ups are too difficult for you, feel free to elevate yourself to a bench or chair, or you can do these on your knees. Last exercise of this group is a wide chest press. So we're gonna start with our feet at 90 degrees elevated to ensure that our back is flat and our core is engaged. We're gonna drive our elbows wide toward the ground and then squeeze the chest as we drive the weight up while tapping the weights at the top. With this exercise, you should feel your chest and your triceps here. All right, that does it for set 1. We're back at the top for set 2. Follow those cues from set 1 if you need help with your form, and there are no major modification for either of the exercises coming up. So I want to challenge you to increase the weight or increase the amount of reps that you do for each exercise. Let's get to it. All right, we're gonna kick off group 4 with a little bit more upper body, starting with rainbow presses. We're gonna start with that weight to your side with both hands on the dumbbell. We're gonna drive up and extend all the way up over the head, and we're gonna alternate sides in a rainbow pattern. You should feel your shoulders nice and fired up during this exercise. Next up, we're doing alternating neutral rows. We'll have both dumbbells in a neutral position with our palms facing each other. We'll be in that loaded deadlift position with our core engaged and back flat, and we'll drive those elbows up as tall as we can and squeezing those shoulder blades. You should feel your middle back here along with your biceps. All right, next up, we're gonna fire up the biceps with some alternating curls. We'll start with the weight in a neutral position, and then as we drive the weight up, we're gonna rotate the wrist toward our face and then slowly drive the weight back down. A big key to curls is not letting that weight swing as the weight comes down. You wanna do this exercise nice and slow to ensure that your biceps are isolated. Next up, we have tricep kickbacks. I highly recommend going lighter in weight just because this is more of an isolated movement. We'll start in that bent over row position, keeping the hips hinged back and our elbows tucked, and then we're gonna alternate sides by extending those elbows and really squeezing the triceps. Last exercise of this group is a front raise with a press. We'll use a single dumbbell here and we'll grab it horizontally by the side. We'll drop the weight up with locked elbows, pull the weight in, press it out, and then slowly drop it down by our waist. And if you're doing this exercise correctly, your shoulders should be on fire. back at the top for set 2. Now that you kind of know the flow of this set, be sure to challenge yourself with reps or weight if you can. If you need help with your form, follow those cues from set 1 and you'll be good to go. For this last group, we're gonna fire up the abs, starting with some overhead tuck sit-ups. We're gonna start in a flat position, and as we come up, we'll tuck the heels to our hamstrings and drive the weight up overhead. As we return to that flat position, be sure to go nice and slow to ensure that your abs are engaged. If this exercise is too difficult, you can do crunches instead. All right, next up we have drop sit-ups. We'll start in a standard sit-up position while keeping the weight close to our body. As we come up, we'll drop the weight between our legs and then return without the weight. As we come back up, we'll pick the weight up and then slowly return to that starting position. Be sure to do this exercise controlled to make sure your abs are working properly. Next up, we're gonna get into a V-sit position and do alternating toe touches. So as we're in this position, we're gonna crunch one leg up, touch with our opposite hand to the opposite toe, and we're gonna alternate sides. If you find that this movement is too difficult, you can follow the modification that pops up on the screen by touching the opposite knee instead. All right, next up, we're gonna mix some pull-throughs with some renegade rows. So we're gonna start in that push-up position. We'll do one pull-through on each side, and then we'll do one renegade row on each side. If you find that this is too difficult, you can follow the modification that pops up on the screen and do these on your knees. All right, for the last and final exercise of this set, we're gonna hold a simple plank. We're gonna start by having our elbows underneath our shoulders, squeeze your glutes, squeeze your core, and this is gonna ensure that your back is flat. If you struggle with planks or can't hold for the entire duration, follow the modification that pops up on the screen by doing these on your knees.
All right, everybody, this is the last set of the last and final group. Just like the previous groups, go as hard as you can for this last set. Increase the weight or increase the reps where you need to. And if you found that some of the exercises in the first set were too difficult, follow those modifications when needed. All right, let's finish strong here.
dumbbell strength
wow.
workout. Pat yourself on the back for completing that. That
know,
is
man.
a tough
It was a
workout.
great workout.
My muscles are on fire. My quads, my glutes, my shoulders, my biceps. I feel everything right now. So like I said earlier, this is a great workout if you're looking to build some strength, build some muscle, or just looking for a great overall full body workout. I feel every muscle group right now.
Oh yeah, and this is a great workout that you can do often throughout the week. If you need that hour-long workout, this is a perfect one that you can do. But also, we have another one on the channel that you can check out as well, all right?
Yep.
So if you want more from us, be sure to check out the channel. We have more workouts, but also check out the Juice and Toya app. We have more workouts, recipes, live workouts, nutrition, and everything else you need to take your fitness up a notch.
Oh, yeah.
And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like as well and smash that thanks button if you really appreciate it, all right? We thank you for joining us for another video.
And we'll see you all at the next one.